like I was on a boat and it had a hole in it, and instead of repairing the hole, I was just spooning buckets of water out all the time.
Most personal trainers don't burn out because of the work they do. They burn out because of the way they work. In this episode, Craig and I are going to talk about how we manage time and fundamentally how we manage our energy. And we're also going to share with you the lessons and the frameworks and the models that we share with our clients so that they can do the same. The outcome is really simple. We want to be able to protect our time so that we can maximize our energy, so that we can have the biggest impact on the people around us and the lives that we want to build. This is part 3 of our Beyond Fully Booked series. Let's dive in.
Hey team, welcome to episode number 68. This is part 3 of 3 on how to go beyond fully booked. So lovely little introduction from you, my friend, I must say.
Thank you.
Almost on your first take. Close.
Almost. Yeah.
So yeah, let's dive straight in. Time and energy and all of the stuff that probably don't think about too much when you start as a personal trainer, but you soon find out how important it is. And it's been a game changer for us to actually spend time on figuring this out for us.
Yeah.
And then being able to help and influence others to do the same.
Yeah, that's it. So I think what we're going to chat about today is I'll kick off with a very simple introduction to the model that we've kind of come to know. And then we'll talk about how we think about each component, how it shows up for us, and what we've learned, the mistakes that we've made with time and energy, and then what we do, how we can help trainers do a better job.
Before we do that, cool socks, right? But no, before we do that,
mushrooms,
yeah.
Why like you've been on mushrooms wearing those socks, right?
Why should somebody like listen to this? I guess is the question in my mind, because it's quite a boring topic. Like when you read it off the top, like how to spend your time and your energy. Like what?
Well, not if they pay attention to my hook. You haven't seen my hooks, mate.
Fucking hooks. Here we go again. What's in it for a coach, and what would a coach currently be going through that would benefit from hearing what we're about to talk about?
Ooh, that's a humdinger of a question. So I think the way I think about it, not to get too deep on this, but we don't have a lot of time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think when we reflect on our first years as a trainer, you're bushy-tailed, wide-eyed. You're here to come and like you've got all the time in the world because you're here to make a dent. As you're at least for us, as our time has elapsed, we've been in this industry for nearly closing in on 20 years. I think you become aware that okay, time is the only thing that once I spend it, I can't get it back. And if I want to do something quite impactful for me, my family, my life, and then the people around me, I'm going to have to be really thoughtful and intentional about what I choose with my time. I want to make every second, minute, hour, week, month, year count. And I think that only gets more and more important the further on in your journey you go, the further on in life you go.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of a philosophical starting point, but it's like, I want to make the most of my time. And so when you think about it from that point of view, I'm like, cool, let's start from that place. If I want everything I do to have a big impact on something, and we can talk about North Stars and goals and missions and stuff, but I think that's a starting point. It's the most important asset that we have that's dwindling. I mean, you won't get the minute back that you just listened to me talking about that stuff, but it's really important.
Yeah, I think like a lot of things that we now coach, it's born from a place of pain for us. Yeah. Like the main mission for us with Velocity is like, we'll show you all the stuff that we did that went well, and we'll show you all the stuff that we fucked up and then how we solved it. And I think for me personally, and I'm sure we'll touch on it, like how I managed my time as a coach that was in demand was very poor. Yeah. And it led to a lot of poor decisions that meant I felt very, very stuck. And
the big like red zones or the alerts come from when you mismanage these kind of 3 sections. So let's just set it up a little bit. So we categorize 3 ways that you can spend time and energy. One of them is working in the business. You can work on the business, and then you need to get out of the business. Yeah. And the general premise is that if you balance those 3 ways to spend your time quite well for you with where you're at in the journey, things will go well for you. You'll be you'll find yourself in a nice little sweet spot, and rainbows will magically spring out of your ass. So that's kind of the rough idea. But it's when you don't balance that, you don't understand it enough so that you can balance it, that's when problems occur.
Yeah. So let's jump in with what we mean by in, on, and out, right? Yeah. So let's go with in first of all.
Working in the business is anything that you do that serves a client that you currently have as active or that's about to be active? So we think about that. Like we break that down into three major kind of subcategories. We talk about training people. So that's the one-to-one sessions that you deliver, check-in calls, or anything where you're with the client. It's coaching them, and that's anything to do with influencing their behavior. So think about programming, think about messaging and just checking in on them and giving them feedback on stuff, or checking in with your community. You're coaching the community or the client. And then the third one would be managing. Think about managing the client account. So payments, sessions, like classic, like back and forth, emailing, messaging, and stuff like that. So those three things, they're all relating to the client today, and that's in the business. It's anything to do with paying the bills this month.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The way to categorize all of that really is all of the stuff that you do that gets you paid at the end of this current month.
Yeah.
There's not too much future in that. It's just the stuff that you need to do now. Super important, needs time, but shouldn't be occupying all of your time.
Yes, exactly. Then you got on the business, and it's kind of the opposite of that in a sense. Is that all the work that you do that doesn't actually influence the stuff right now, but you're kind of building a better future. You're building a better tomorrow, to give you a nice cheesy little line. So you're investing time in your business, in yourself, so that in the future you will be better. You'll have a bigger, better business. You'll be able to get more clients, serve them at a better level. It's all about delaying your gratification by building something bigger and better.
Nice. And then out?
Out is like, if you're the trainer, like if when you're kind of in work mode, you're either a personal trainer or you're the personal training business owner. When you're out of the business, you're the other versions of you. You're the dad, you're the mum, you're the son or daughter, friend, sister, brother. You're closing the laptop, you're leaving the gym and the studio, and you're going to go and live your life. And we break that down into three further components. But that's the premise.
Nice. So there's two things that pop up in my mind on the back of that. Two common things that we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
Number one is people not spending enough time working on their business and wondering why it's not growing.
Yeah.
And the second one is people trying to get out of the business, but because of the way that they've built it, they keep getting sucked back in. Yeah. And so they never truly switch off. Yeah. They're always the business owner or the coach. Yeah. They never get to be themselves. And so what happens is like the business is running them rather than them running the business.
Yeah, tail wagging the dog. And so the two main issues we see with that, like if you're not working on it enough and you're constantly in it, constantly like chasing, responding, being reactive to clients, you're gonna find yourself stagnant. And we describe this a lot as the hamster in the wheel. Both you and I were hamsters in wheels for a long period of time, which basically is to say you're working really hard. Your little legs are sprinting all day, all week long, and the wheel's turning, and that means that you're doing a lot, you're helping a lot of people, but you're not actually going anywhere. You're sat in the same spot, perhaps at the same level of revenue, doing the same stuff with the same people. And the tough thing of that is that it can get less rewarding. You can start to resent it a little bit because you're like, what am I doing now? Like, I can do this like the back of my hand. It's not challenging. It's not mentally stimulating for me enough. So we need new challenges, but you can't seek out, learn about, and actually exploit those new challenges unless you've got space and time to work on the business.
Yeah. And there's a few things that happen that cause this. One is that people just don't know about it.
Yeah.
They qualify as a personal trainer. They love the technical side of it. They love coaching people. They don't really figure out that in order to be successful, you also need to learn how to run a business. And so they just don't allocate time for it. The second one is that people understand it and they sit down at their laptop and go, right, I'm going to work on my business, but they don't really know what to do. So they kind of sit there and end up staring at space, or maybe they try to tackle 5 or 6 different tasks at the same time. Yeah. And it's just very poorly run time. It's not very productive. Yeah. I think the third way, which is what I found when I was growing my business, is that they almost become a victim of their own success. They haven't started the business in the right way. And so they just keep dialing up more and more clients, and they get to the point where their diary is so saturated working in the business that they just don't really have any time to work on it anymore. Yeah. And they have very, very little time to get out of it. And that was the most stressful time for me as a personal trainer.
Yeah. So can you, like, what, for you personally, how did you get out of it? If you could take yourself back to that moment when it was a bit shit for you, like what happened for you?
There's to carry on with our cheesy saying number 2 of the podcast. Yeah. They say that, change happens when the pain of staying the same outweighs the pain of making the change. And I think that describes it brilliantly for me. So, I was making quite a lot of money. I had a wife who didn't work. I had very young children, and I was used to a certain level of revenue. And so my mission every day was to earn X amount of pounds per week or per month. Yeah. And that was where my focus, I've got to bring that money in every single month. And it was a good number, and I was able to do a lot of things with it. But because of that, I was hooked on delivering 10 to 12 sessions a day, 5 days a week, and then spending my weekends catching up on all the shit I should have done in the week. And I was just trying to stay afloat. It was like I was on a boat and it had a hole in it. And instead of repairing the hole, I was just spooning buckets of water out all of the time because I could stay afloat. The boat wouldn't sink, but I just had to keep shoveling the water out rather than fixing the problem. And I think the change happened when I just got sick of it. I was like, I don't care about the money anymore. Like, I need to do something different because I'm just not enjoying this process. And I think, the reason you and me work well in business together is because we're kind of opposite ends of the spectrum. Yeah. Like you were the ultimate on the business guy, and I was the ultimate in the business guy. And so I was able to learn from our conversations really that I needed a little bit more of what you were doing in order to actually create something that could really grow and scale much further than I was currently doing. But I had to be prepared. And this was the tough bit for me personally. I had to be prepared to take a couple of steps back in order for me to make so many more steps forward.
Which can be really, really hard for people. And I'm sure there's many other trainers that kind of relate that are where you were, and that they're hard workers, type A personalities. Like I'll get stuff done. I'm here to hold myself to a high standard. But to kind of, I'm not sure if it's swallowing pride, but it's something in that region where I have to I'm going to have to take a step back, a slingshot. I'm going to have to pull back so that I can go 10, 20, 50 steps forward. But that can be a really hard thing to do because we've got ego playing a part. We've got expectation. You've got pressure of family life and bills I've got to pay, which are real things. We're going to have to really unpack that. But I guess from our point of view, and for me, I think my one was very much about being the hamster in the wheel, just accepting that, cool, this is where I'm at, and no one was challenging me, and I got comfortable. I got complacent for a long time. But to have someone that can shock you out of that Groundhog Day style life experience is the best thing that can happen. And I think there'll be a lot of trainers out there that relate to that and think, oh, if only something could just jolt me out of this, almost like a stupor, like I'm a bit dazed and confused, and I need to see the light. Because I think you and I, we've said many a times that we're building a company now, a mentorship for personal trainers, and the only wish we had is that we'd started earlier. Yeah. If we could wind the clock back, not right to the beginning, because we appreciate the experience that we developed in how many years was it till we actually started? 13 years 14 years since we qualified to when we actually started Velocity. Yeah. We probably could have started a bit earlier, but we're grateful for all that experience that we've got that we can build it from. But we could definitely have started sooner. But we had to work on those things, and hopefully, if someone's listening, watching this right now, that our vote of confidence is that you can do it right. You can probably do it much sooner than you think. Yeah. And that was a learning for us. Yeah,
I think sometimes the thing that gets you out of that is you need to have a chat with maybe somebody that's done it and gets you. It's a bit like how you generate a lead as a personal trainer. You talk about the problems and people are like, oh yeah, that's me. That's where I'm at. And there's that connection. So, chatting to another trainer, coming and having a chat with us, or, sending us a DM, whatever it might be, just to talk about that experience. I resonate with that. That's exactly where I'm at. How the fuck did you get through it? Yeah. And what's likely to be at the other side? The funny thing is, when you get to the other side, you always look back and you go, oh God, why didn't I do this a year ago, 2 years ago? But you stood there. The only way I can think of it is you're basically pulling your pants down and bending over for everybody else because you don't want to upset anybody.
People pleasing to extreme level.
Yeah, I'll do. Yeah, sure. If you can't make 7 a.m., I'll do 9 p.m. for you.
No problem.
And you sit around in the gym waiting for 2 hours, twiddling your thumbs just because you don't want to let that client down.
Oh, you don't like Romanian deadlifts? No, tonight I'll go back and I'll edit the program. What would you like in it instead?
Yeah, I'll have it ready for the morning. Yeah. Yeah. And, there's the solutions to that are within, our 4 pillars and what we teach. But the main point to get your head around is that you're here to grow a business, and that business needs to work for you, not you for it. So yeah, when I was able to make those changes, when I was, I guess, brave enough to go, do you know what? I will take a step back and I'm going to sit down for 10 hours a week. I'm not going to coach people. I'm actually going to grow my business, and I'm going to grow it in a way that protects my time and my energy. When I started doing that, it was like instant relief. And honestly, it took me a couple of months before I was making more money than I was ever making before. I just had to accept that very, very short period of time of financial regression to be able to make huge business progress. And the ceiling that was over my head that I was banging my head on every single month was all of a sudden removed. And it was very, very clear then of how much further I could go without having to sacrifice my time.
So the other angle on this is energy, which I think is one that's really showing up for me and a lot of the trainers of Velocity at the moment. And you and I, we've had a series of mentors and coaches ourselves over the last few years, and one of them said something to us which kind of surprised us because we didn't expect it. We thought we were going to get some, business insight of how we were going to grow and do something better. But he basically said, look, one of the big blockages here for you guys over the next year or two of your journey and growth will be your own personal energy. We're like, what? Hang on. No, we asked about growing our business. Like, why are you talking about my energy levels? And it's one of those things that there's ignorance in this as well, right? So the example here is, I don't know if we talked about this before, that when you're about to go on holiday, you're about to go on holiday as we record this video, actually.
I am, yeah.
And you only realize how depleted or deficient you are in energy, focus. So this is mental and emotional energy of like how vibrant you are until you switch off. So you have to switch off and stay off for a few days. And then you're like, oh my God, like I feel so good. Like I'm bouncing off the walls. Like I've got ideas popping. I'm energized. But you didn't know that until you switched off, which basically is to say that we're ignorant of how depleted you might be in any given moment. So anyway, that this ignorance idea means that we may not know what performance we're at right now, even though you might think that you're doing a good job. So anyway, this lesson that we learned as a result of having this been highlighted to us is that one of the top, I'm not going to say it's number one because it depends what context we're in, but it's very high up there as a driver for growth, as a reason, something we could look at, which would tell us how fast you're going to grow over the next 12 months and how far you're going to grow, is your own energy level. And being able to, and having the weekly structure to bring it back into time is paramount to your having good energy. Because if you don't have boundaries, if you can't say no, if you're up late night, if you're up in early morning, if you're doing the people pleasing thing and you're not addressing what you need, then the chances of you performing at a high level are very low.
Yeah.
And it came up in a call this week with clients, and I said that you are way more important. I was talking to the trainer, I'm talking to you. You're way more important than you are currently valuing yourself. Because if you break down, if you aren't performing at your best, you don't have a business.
Yeah.
Like you just have a job, you have a busy service, and you won't be able to operate at a level that actually makes it a business.
Yeah, so true. So one of the tools that we use to come back into in, on, and out of your business, one of the tools that we use to help our clients do this is called the perfect week. And it's, to cut a long story short, it's a way of going, when I look at this week, it gives me the money that I want. I know the service, I know what I need to charge for my service, so that helps me design it and sell it. But I know that I've got a period of time in the week that I'm comfortable doing where I'm going to be working in the business. But I've also got chunks of time where I'm only going to be the business owner. And if a client messages me in that time, it's going to be ignored.
Yeah, well, I'm going to see it because it's like the notifications are off.
It's off the radar. I'm not going to be going out to get my hair cut at that time. I'm not going to be having a coffee with a friend. I'm working on the business. But I've also got a good amount of time where I'm not thinking about being a personal trainer. I'm not thinking about my business. I'm just me. I'm booked in to go and play football with my mates. I'm going to the cinema with my partner, taking the kids out, whatever it might be, whatever you want to do that makes you you, that needs to be accounted for in your time. And it's called the perfect week because when you do that every single week, you'll be so happy with how you're living your life. The caveat to that is that it needs work every single month. So we run a monthly review with all of our clients. And one of the things that we ask them to do is to review their perfect week and move stuff around, because you may have figured out that actually I put 20 client sessions a week, but I feel like I want to do 25. I feel like I can do that now because my systems are a bit better. Or I was allocating 10 hours a week to my business, but I've got this big project coming up. I think I want to move that to 12.
Yeah. Perfection is a moving target.
Yeah, exactly. So you'll never hit a perfect week that lands forever, but the idea should always be in your mind, and keeping it simple between when am I in the business, when am I on the business, and when am I out of it is the first big mover to creating the life that you want.
Yeah. Because one of the things we think, and we've personally experienced through doing this, is that balance is, this whole work-life balance thing. There's 2 points. I'll just touch on this. One is, it's not a noun. It's not something that we achieve and get. It's an act. It's an ongoing process that we are looking to achieve the right balance for wherever we are in the moment.
Yeah.
And so, like you and I, over the last 3 years, we've had. I mean, when we launched Velocity, my daughter was born, or like 6 months prior.
Good timing. Well planned. That.
Great timing. Was it 6 months prior? No, it was 6 months after we launched.
Yeah.
So, like in that period of time, that was really tough because I had a lot of time and energy that I needed to be putting in family, but I had to draw boundaries. I had to work with that, and that was a tough period. But that was something that I was dealing with at the time. And if you're following along with this, I'm sure there's something that you can relate right now that's going on that you're like, yeah, like I need to account for this time and energy that I've got to be spending for this bit of my life. And so it's a constant flux. Perfection is a moving target, which means we've got to adjust. Hence the need for weekly and monthly reviews. And then the other point is that, again, it depends on where you are in the journey, but when you're starting out, like you don't have work-life balance. Like there's no one that's built a great business that at some point in their first year or 2 or 3 wasn't fucking all guns blazing, all in, right? And actually there is no balance.
Yeah.
And so I think it's good. I think it's normal and right to normalize the fact that, yeah, there are going to be crazy periods. It's going to be hard work. No, business is difficult. And so there are going to be periods where your week feels crazy, but oftentimes that level of chaos is a sign that you're growing and you're moving up a level. Yeah.
Like one of the things, you've got to find your own way of making it work. But when we run a big promotion or campaign for Velocity to bring new people in, that's a really crazy period for me. There's a lot of conversations, there's a lot of delivery, there's a lot of calls, a lot of things to do. I always like to plan a break that comes off the back of that. So I can be fully in the business and then I can get fully out of it. And then when I come back, I can get back to the balance because there's nothing, random going on. I think the problem is if you're always out of balance, if you're constantly overwhelmed, then you're not going to grow.
It's like being in a constant state of overtraining. It's like you're always training too much. You're never giving your body enough time to recover. So you're never going to get stronger. Like we understand that when it comes to the body, but it's the same principle in business.
Yeah. So it's been big for us, and like I say, the lessons that we've learned in the 15 years of being coaches are the lessons that we now teach other people. And hopefully that's been useful to you listening. So if you're maybe you're not pushing yourself hard enough at the moment, I'd encourage you to look at how much time you're spending in, on and out of your business. If you feel completely overwhelmed and swamped by your coaching and the delivery parts, I'd encourage you to look at how much in, on and out that you have. Yeah. And if you feel like you need a bit more structure and a bit more guidance, again, I'd encourage you to break that down and give yourself a framework, just like someone that wants to get fitter. If they just go in the gym and go nuts for 2 hours, probably not going to get anywhere. But if you have a program, you have a structure and you can follow it, you've got something that's going to be a guiding light.
Boom. So if you want to explore our world, come and enter the world of Velocity, then click on the link in either the description, the show notes. There'll be a link to our website. Come check us out. I'd love to chat to you.